that is in the news for the wrong reason. We'll tell you all that after now. Don't go anywhere. right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Michael is in the studio. Mike, a beautiful evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening to you. Thank you. Really to have you outside there.
All right, let's get started with all the happenings in the Nigeria Premier Football League. But Mike, it looks like Max Verstappen is one man who, of course, gradually has rolled over. It doesn't, at this point now, they are likely going to win the constructors' title, virtue of his winning the Qatar Grand Prix.
Yes, of course, likely, especially for London Norris, who had some form of penalty. That is why his point reduction will have failed with just one game to go, and that is about 24 points or 44 points left, to take. So I think it's looking likely that Max Verstappen and Red Bull is going to coast home this very one. So for me, because he has shown much dominance so far throughout the season, despite the obstacle that he actually faced at some points in the season, but then he was still able to stay strong. I just feel for drivers like Lewis Hamilton, who was hoping to live on a very high note for the Mercedes to join Ferrari. Well, quite unfortunate, the last, Qatar Grand Prix, he was actually penalized twice, and thereby shifting to the 10th position, finishing very, very poor, whereas he was hoping to finish on a very high note before leaving the Mercedes for Ferrari 2025. Disappointing one, but for drivers like London Norris, you want to say he did pretty well in the season, but then not good enough. The man talking about Verstappen just have a way of, maintaining his dominance.
And then his dominance, of course, one more race to go, and that's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I remember 4 years ago when that drama transferred between himself and Lewis Hamilton, and of course Lewis Hamilton not taking it easy, and since then he has not won again past Max Verstappen. And Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is the next, and the Formula One season will be over. Tennis season is over, almost everything is over except football, and Formula One is looking likely to come to a climax.
Yes, of course. With just one race is, to go, I think we may just say goodbye to the Formula One for this season in the next week. While we hope to see, some of these constructors going back to base to actually start to look into their engine and see how they can be able to refurbish it, so that they can be able to compete very well come next season against these Red Bulls that have actually maintained dominance. We also heard that the GP Moto from US will also be joining the Formula One come next season. I don't know how far, their own engine will be, but one thing is very certain. Even Mercedes chief talking about Toto Wolff has also made that strong statement that he thinks they're going to go back to their own cocoon and try to refurbish their engine so as to compete at the highest level with the Red Bull and the rest of the constructors out there. So for me, I think this season has come to a climax, and just one race to go. We say bye-bye to this season Formula One as it is right now. But I tell you, it has been an impressive season so far for Red Bulls, for London Norris as well, but disappointing season for Mercedes, and for some other drivers out there who did not do very, very well. But like I said, we hope at the end of this season, some of these major constructors will also go back and try to see if they can be able to work on their engine, so that we'll have a more competitive Formula One come next season.
Of course, in the Qatar Grand Prix, Max Verstappen came to first in that particular one, with the checkered flag. Charles Leclerc of Ferrari was second, Oscar Piastri of McLaren fourth, third, George Russell of Mercedes fourth, Pierre Gasly of Alpine fifth, Carlos Sainz of Ferrari sixth, Fernando Alonso of Aston Martin, Zhou Guiyong of Suba, Kevin Magnussen of Haas, Lando Norris was able to still pick up the last checkered flag to emerge in the 10th position. Lewis Hamilton, like you said, they are not very palatable at all. But then, it's been a long time I will talk about a certain the second driver for Ferrari. It looks like Carlos Sainz. I mean, he's just a shadow of himself this season.
Exactly, a shadow of himself. This season has been very difficult for some of these second drivers, even for Red Bull. Talking about the second driver for Red Bull, that is George Russell. He has actually struggled as well. Then talk about the second driver for Mercedes as well. Nowhere to be found. Then I think for me, it has been a very disappointing season for some of these drivers, especially for the second drivers out there who were expected that at least when the first driver did not make an impact, we expect that the second driver will also come, to the rescue to finish on a very good position, so as to also accumulate more points. Because if George Russell has been picking up more points as well when Max Verstappen is not doing very well, that would have also helped them as well to accumulate more points. But when you're allowing the bulk of the load on one driver, it becomes very difficult. Whenever that driver doesn't get to finish within the podium or doesn't get to perform very well, then it affects the constructor, it affects their company seriously, and it has been a very disappointing one for some of these second drivers out there, as they find it very difficult to also closing the gap. So for me, I think generally want to say not a good season for most of these drivers, where you should have expected some of these drivers to take advantage of the in-house fighting and rumbling between Max Verstappen, the Red Bulls authority, even at some point the father as well was also involved, in this whole shamble at the earlier season, where it's expected that some of these drivers or constructors would have taken an advantage of that chaos that was actually rocking Red Bull to make sure they push them back against the wall. But then, they did not do that. Very disappointing one for some of these drivers.
Of course, very disappointing one, especially for the likes of Sergio Perez, who a lot of us would have expected to do very well for as the second driver for the Red Bull guys, and Christian Horner, the team principal for Red Bull, is not taking things very lightly when it comes to. But he says that there are decisions to whether they're going to look at it now to see whether they can keep him or whether his future is over. But then that will be a thing of next season. But then away from that, let's move now to the Nigeria Premier Football League. A lot of action transpired, and Rivers United are back to the top of the MPFL standing after they beat the visiting Kano Pillars in that encounter. Musa played that game. I had expected a lot from that game, but just one goal scored by Aneke Mokun was enough to see them through. And the fact that Remo Stars also lost ensured that they went back to 29. They are now still 29th on the log, and they are 5 points clear now with that. But okay, 4 points clear, and that means that they need to control the momentum. With this now, you expect that, I mean, they shouldn't be dropping points anyhow, isn't it?
They shouldn't, especially for a competitive league that we've seen so far this year. You take a look at the first position, Rivers United, who is occupying the first position. You take a look at the second position, third, fourth, even fifth. Just a few points disparity separating them. And that is to tell you how keenly contested the league is so far this season. And for Rivers United, they are not getting a very convincing result. Playing at home against Kano Pillar, they struggle. In fact, that goal was scored in the first half. At some point, the Kano Pillar, they were actually piling the pressure, asking most of the questions out there against Rivers United. It's just that they were able to hold on, to see off that very game. Even though I tell you, it should have been a game that they should have drawn. But then, I tell you, Rivers United and Finidi George, they need to do a lot. If you are win convincingly. Look at what Ikorodu City is doing. They want to beat you, they beat you silly. Just like what they did to Aqua United over the weekend. 4-1, a statement of intent. If you are beating the team, take a look at Rangers, Heartland. They are winning their game 3 goals upwards, 4 goals upwards. This is a way to make a very strong statement as a title contender, not a slim 1-goal margin. Though you may want to say it's a half goal or even 1 goal, but all 3 points that matter. But don't forget, it will come at some point, at some crucial point in time where goal difference is going to count, for the league. We've seen it, time without number, not just in the Nigerian Premier Football League, but all the leagues across the globe. Sometimes goal difference can just make, the difference on who wins. So Rivers United, they need to be up and doing. Just like you said, the Nigerian Super Eagles captain talking about Ahmed Musa. It was more, more of a celebrity in that game because we saw fans, thronging around him just to take a picture and all of that. So for me, I think they did their best, but their best weren't good enough. Maybe they need to go back and work on themselves. But I tell you, for Rivers United, a lot of improvement is needed.
A lot of improvement is needed as it stands now. We saw the result of the games played. Lobby Stars defeated Kwara United 1-0. Bender Insurance beat Plateau United 2-1. Rivers United 1, Canopilas 0. Niger Tornadoes defeated Remo Stars 2-1. Heartland 3, Nasarawa United 2. Ikorodu City 4, Aqua United 1. Ikorodu City have been in very fine form, Mike, and it looks like they are now seated third with 24 points, just a margin of 8 points differentiating them between. Okay, not 8 points even, more like 6 points differentiating them and the Rivers United, 2 points differentiating them and the Remo Stars. And I'm just wondering how far they can go, but it looks like that change of getting a new coach really worked for them.
It's looking likely because we've seen Ikorodu City, resurgence so far in the last 5-6 games. They've maintained that consistency, both home and away. They are picking point and they just know how to get the goals, even against some big side like Aqua United, who have also struggled so far this season. Going over there to Lagos, it was a very difficult day for them. In fact, they had a very bad day in office as they were unable to find answers to Ikorodu City's attack over the weekend, falling 4-1 against the promoted team. I think for me, it looks as though Ikorodu City is a team to watch out so far this season.
And of course, if you look at Bender Insurance now, they are down the bottom of the log, and they are crying out to the new governor, Monday Okwebelo, to help revive the team, get a new coach for the team, and see what they can do to move on to a very drastic. Nasarawa United, Aqua United, and Bender Insurance currently rocking the bottom of the Nigeria Premier Football League after March 15.
Not a good one for Bender Insurance, Nasarawa United, and even Aqua United. All these United and Insurance, nothing is sure about Bender Insurance as it is right now. Despite the financial incentive given to them over the last week after winning their game 4-1, the deputy governor, talking about Dennis Idahosa, gifted them the sum of 1.5 million naira to encourage them, even in their midweek fixture, which they eventually went to lose 2-1. It was expected maybe they should just pick up the broken pieces down to the weekend fixture, but then the Bender Insurance has failed to ensure all 3 points as they were actually defeated. It's a trying time for them, which they need to do something very, very fast, because if they continue with this poor form, I tell you, they might just, got relegated so far this season.
Not a very good one, and I will hope that they can work out things and move on. All right, Shooting Stars defeated Abia Warriors 2-0. Academy Warriors were played a goalless draw with Bayelsa United, and of course, there will be a game tomorrow. FCA Imba will take on Rangers International, in that encounter, and that promises to be another KG moment encounter. But we're going to talk about it more tomorrow. Let's move away from that and let's move now to the foreign scene. We are just to break the news that Ruth Van is now the new coach of Leicester City. And of course, the man is talking tough already. Of course, he said that he was astonished by the amount of interest generated just after taking charge of, was it up to those 4 games, an interim basis with Manchester United, and that seems to have spoiled it. And that's one thing about the English club. If the moment you have a short space elsewhere and they see that you have the potentials, maybe you have good results, a lot of clubs start coming. But for me, that would be, it looks like reading the book on by its cover. Isn't it early to judge Van Nistelrooy?
For me, I'm thinking the same direction as well. It's very, very, very early that a man played just 4 games in charge as an interim coach, winning 3, drawing 1. And most of these teams that he played against were average teams. So team are beginning to scamper on getting his signature. Even Leicester City, though this same Leicester City played against them twice out of these 4 games. He defeated Leicester City 5-1 in the FA Cup, then again in the league 3-0. Maybe that's just the reason why Leicester City just went for his service. But I tell you, it is a very, very big risk, because for such a man without any experience of having coached in the English Premier League before, he just had a short stint in the Netherlands League out there before coming to become an assistant for the outgoing coach, talking about Erik ten Hag, and now taking charge in 4 games on interim basis. This shouldn't be the yardstick for we to measure him as a good coach.
But the yardstick is there for the world to see. According to him, in his presser, he said he has won the League Cup at the Eredivisie. He has finished second in the Eredivisie. He has coached the national team in the under 19 level, and he has a very strong CV when it comes to the wealth of experience in coaching. So, arguably, this could also be part of the reason why some persons feel that, okay, this guy may have something, in store for them.
We'll get to see. He has been appointed. He has been given, an offer, and he has been appointed as a coach of Leicester City. He's no longer seeking a job. So instead of doing much of profiling of his CV, he should rather get down to work. Exactly, get down to work, and let's see what your achievement via your CV will actually show on the field of play.
Vanessa Roy is now the new manager of Leicester City. They are seated 16th on the English Premier League table. And of course, a lot of people will be hoping that, I haven't seen what played out between them and Brentford, that they lost that game. Then I'm sure that he knows what it is, and a lot will be coming. And what I like about the English Premier League, if you do not live up to expectation, you also follow suit. But let's take a look at some of the results of games that transpired in the English Premier League. And yes, the biggest of them all yesterday was Liverpool and Manchester City. The result is, it's not funny anymore. But a lot of people are asking, what is wrong with Manchester City? How come they have descended this low? Clearly, after watching that game yesterday, I just told myself that it's not about the function of Pep the genius. It's about Pep even more confused as to his problem, because I listened to his post-match and he said, he's trying this, is not working, he's trying this, is not working, and the man is bothered. He himself is bothered and doesn't know what to do anymore.
Yes, of course, he should be bothered. For a man that have set such high standard in the coaching world and in the footballing world, I think you need to be bothered. When you are not churning out the result as expected by so many, you need to be very, very worried at this point in time. Playing 7 straight games without a win, losing 6 out of those 7 games and drawing 1. In fact, the worst of it all was after going up 3-0 against Feyenoord in the midweek UEFA Champions League, then allowing Feyenoord with just 15 minutes to go, to come back and draw that very game, which was a very poor record. That in the history of the Champions League, no team have taken a 3-0 advantage, in the 75th minute, only to come back and draw that game. It wasn't a good one at all. So I think Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City side, going 7 straight games without a win, they should be worried at this point in time. Many have said a whole lot of things about the injury worry to the Ballon d'Or winner, talking about Rodri, the absence of Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish, and all of that. But then we've seen this same Pep Guardiola side, even with injuries to some of his key players, they must still find a way, to get results out there. So I don't know what seems to be the problem this time around for Manchester City, that Pep Guardiola looks to be running out of ideas. If you see him standing on the touchline this time around, dishing instruction, the man seems to be confused. Unlike Pep Guardiola, that even when the situation isn't going fine in the first half or second half, he still maintain his calm, only to give a specific instruction. And before he gives us instruction on the touchline, in a split second, you will see changes.
And a lot of people will be thinking that I even felt more pity for him when the fans of Liverpool were now booing him, saying, sack him tomorrow, as today, sack him. And he did, and he gave them a sign.
Yes, gesticulation.
I've won 6 times, But that's not just about it. It's about the fact that this is one manager who feels that, who has dominated English football, no doubt. And the fact that he just recently signed for the club, who in his heart, he says it is the best club, the best set of players. And then all this has happened. The last time he has won a game was against Southampton in October. And then one will begin to wonder, do you think he's regretting ever signing that contract, or he just felt that, okay, these things will happen, and then, where they move from now?
I do not think that he will regret, he did regret signing that contract. Even before putting pen to paper, you listen to him, he said every time he get to sign a contract for Manchester City, he look as though that is the last time that he's going to sign, but he will end up signing again. Meaning that the man has developed love, he has developed that passion for the team. So I do not think that he's regretting, putting pen to paper for a new contract extension. It's just that these things do happen It's about the trying time for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. And believe you me, he will definitely come out of this very, very strong. It will happen to any team. Even the onslaught that we are praising today, who seems to be the new sheriff in the English Premier League. Don't worry.
It's very, very time.
Very soon, we'll get to see how reliable, how consistent he is. When Ange Postecoglou came in for Tottenham last season, we saw him winning about 8 to 9 straight games on a row in a bounce. But then, when he met with Chelsea, Chelsea actually diverging that his unbeaten run. And from the moment Chelsea thrashed them, that is where his problem, his downfall began, and could not be able to maintain the momentum again. So for me, I think the trying time will certainly come for all these top coaches. It's about how you are able to handle it when it comes your way. Pep Guardiola today, we are talking about him losing, focus, about him losing, his cool. Of course, you saw the last game, where he was actually, he scratched himself to the extent that we saw some wounds, and he said that his nose out there. So for me, these are things that we must be able to, get ready to see for some of these top clubs. Mikel Arteta also faced his own time during his downtime. Jurgen Klopp, who left Liverpool, also had his own bad time as well. So most of these coaches, they will definitely have a trying time. But what matters is the ability for you to remain strong and come out of it very strong.
A lot of person thinks that part of the challenge is on, the players. If you look at the players, some of them are aged, and some also think that he needs a rebuilding process. Now, he loved the players because they have achieved so much together. Look at Kyle Walker. He's 34, He will be, his contract expires 2026. Gundogan is 34. His contract expires next year. De Bruyne is 33. His contract expires next season, the end of this season. Ederson Moraes is 32. His contract expires in the next 2 years. Kovacic is 30 and 27. So you look at this contract, they still have at least 1 year contract in between them. So do you think that there is need for overhauling? Do you think there is need for him to go to the transfer market and get more players? Because if you look at the game yesterday, you just know that the midfield is weak. They have good players, but the midfield, they could not match the firepowers of the likes of the guys in the midfield as young, vibrant, and energetic. Even the fullback, he admitted the fullback too. The fullback are no longer the likes of, when he started, the likes of Clichy, Stagna, and all that, over time, we've seen them. But it looks like he's having challenge in the midfield and in the fullbacks, and that seems to be a lot of questions asking whether he's going to get players. I know when he signed the contract, they asked him this question. He said, no, they have fine players, but evidently, don't you think that there is need for some player or some form of rebuilding process in the squad?
For me, I just think that 1 or 2 players need to be injected. That is not to say that they totally need a rebuilding process per se. Some of these players that you just mentioned, they've passed maybe what you call prime age in football. But then I tell you, most of the players, Kevin De Bruyne has passed his 30, but then the man is still very, very active and still delivers when it matters most. How old is Mo Salah? Mo Salah is the key figure for Liverpool. He's past 30-something, 32 or 33 right now. He's still delivering, giving a top-notch performance out there. For Kyle Walker, ever present, ever reliable. So you cannot talk about age. I just think that Pep Guardiola just need to do something differently. Maybe go to the academy, get 1 or 2 players, integrate them into the first team, and maybe you see the difference. That is why some of their fans were so pained when they let Cole Palmer leave for Chelsea. Cole Palmer was one of the talented academy players that sprung forth from that Manchester City academy. But due to overstars in the first team, he could not get a playing minute. And the man knew the quality that he has, and he had to push for a way out, and that is how he left Manchester City to Chelsea. And today, you can't mention about 5 top players in the English Premier League or the top clubs in the English League without mentioning the name Cole Palmer. So I think maybe, just maybe, Manchester City and Pep Guardiola need to go to the academy, get 1 or 2 players, integrate them into the first team, and that does the job.
But arguably, financial statistics implies that if you look at the transfer rate in the last 3 seasons, arguably, they have not been at the height of transfers. That could also, maybe because he believes in the players, and maybe because he feels that there's no need of getting this player, but they are known as big spenders before now. They challenge apart when they took over, when Mansour took over in 2008. One will argue that they used to have good buys, you know, spend a lot. But in the last 2 seasons, but as it stands now, they are 81st in the world of transfer. They spent 15 million euros, you know, as compared to Chelsea 789 million. So when you look at this margin, you just think that maybe one can forgive Pep Guardiola, depending on the boys, bringing down the expenditure or the net expenditure of the club in terms of transfer. And maybe that could also be part of it, because something that you're used to and you're not getting. Because what he does is he gets players almost every season before now, they challenge. But in the last 3 years, he's sticked, hopefully, with the guys. And it looks like this season, the wax, the candle is gradually burning down. And that energy is no longer there. And but like you said, maybe 1 or 2 players will not do them bad to really change the narrative. And a lot of people are asking, maybe this December could also be a trying moment. Get these players and their bottle, I mean, rebuild a little, use the U-type period to settle down, and then off you go.
Going to the market to buy new players at this point in time wouldn't be the ideal option for Manchester.
Is it about money or the fact that you think they shouldn't get players?
It's not about money. They have the money, but of course there are certain factors that you must also consider. They are on the radar of breaching financial fair play rules. The 115 count charges hung around their neck right now. That is a barrier for them to dip hand into their pockets to go get a player. Not that they don't have the money, but these are limitations. 2, Pep Guardiola is not that coach that is that noted for bringing in top players with big amount of money. No. What he does is spot the talents. He bring you in silently and improve you before you know you become world class. Most of the players that you are hearing today, some of them, they were average players before Pep Guardiola, but Pep Guardiola actually made them to look like a world class today that we are talking about. So Pep Guardiola is not that kind of coach that is always obsessed like Jose Mourinho, who will always want the best. And when he doesn't have the money to get the best, you see him having problems with certain clubs out there. So I do not think it's about going to the market to get players. I do not also think that it is about the money, because the club has the money. It's about the limitation of the fact that they cannot go to the post right now because of the 115 count charges hung around their neck for the financial fair play rule. Then again, for the ability of Pep Guardiola to bring a player from nothing to something, and he has been used to this, and that is why it will be very difficult for you to see Pep Guardiola going out to get a top-notch or a very renowned name, you know, in the world of football right now. He doesn't do that. I just think that it's just a matter of time. Let's say the likes of Grealish comes back and maybe some injury to some other players, they allow them and they stay fit. I tell you, this man still have what it takes to turn things around.
Alan Shearer believes that from yesterday's game, it looks like the only problem that Liverpool have is the fact that they can't fight themselves. Okay, so that's to say, if you can defeat the defending champion Manchester City, the big question is who can, you know, stop them from winning the title at this point. One would say yes, early days after 13 games played, but then we've seen how far. It will be a very big history with 11-point clear if you don't get to win it. But then a lot of person will also tell you that over time we have seen teams bottle up, you know, gaps like this. Arsenal, we've seen them bottle up the gap. But then we're talking about Liverpool, who look like a very formidable team, no weakness in any of the area. And one is asking, is it a battle between Liverpool and Liverpool, or Liverpool and other teams?
It's a battle between Liverpool and other teams. I do not think that it's a battle of Liverpool against Liverpool. These same Liverpool as well, even the Arsenal that we tag as bottlers, I think Liverpool should answer their nomenclature properly, because, you know, last season, Liverpool were firing. They were the best team to chase Manchester City. Nobody even gave Arsenal any chance at all. But all of a sudden, they capitulated. And that is how Arsenal came to the fray, to pursue, to chase after Manchester City till the end. So for me, Liverpool is the rightful name. That nomenclature of bottlers should be Liverpool. But it's just that the consistency of Arsenal in the last 3 years have made it so evidently clear to the picture of so many out there that it look as though it is only Arsenal that is giving City a run for their money, and that is why they are termed as bottler. But come to look at it critically, Liverpool should be the team because Liverpool has all the firepower. They have a team that does not even need Ancelotti to go get a new players. These are the same team that were there last season that Jurgen Klopp actually worked with. Arsenal, let's agree that they are on a rebuilding process for the last 3 years. So you can't truly blame them for last season. We should even be holding Liverpool responsible for allowing only Arsenal to be going for the jugular, to be chasing Manchester City. So, and that is why I say that it is not only Liverpool against Liverpool. Liverpool is contending against other teams. Don't forget, Chelsea is also in the mix. Chelsea and Arsenal, they are on the same point. Just go different. The same goal self, you know. But then, nobody gave Chelsea any chance this season. Taking a look at how things panned out last season under Mauricio Pochettino. But then, they were still able to finish in a very good position. This season, they brought in a new coach to inherit this young squad. And the man is doing fantastically well because nobody gave them a chance. People thought, oh, Chelsea, maybe they are going to finish 10th or even 12th this time around. But look at how they are taking the game gradually. Gradually. They meet average team, they take you to the cleaner. They come up against big team, they try to muscle you and get a draw from you. And we've seen the level of their pattern of game. So it's so improved under Enzo Maresca that when you watch them play these days, you seem to at least enjoy football. So I think the title is not only for Liverpool against Liverpool. It is Liverpool against Arsenal. It's Liverpool against Chelsea. It's Liverpool against even this same Man City that people are talking down right now. Because it is not done and dusted. Just 13 games played so far. We still have about 20-something games to go. So I think for me, only time will tell. But I tell you, the trying time will certainly come for Ancelotti, and that is where we know how capable he is to stand in the pressure in the Premier League. Okay,
the battle line is drawn after 13 games in English Premier League. Ancelotti hopes to continue to blaze on, but fans are watching out for him to see how far he can go. But I can tell you that after match day 13, Liverpool tops with 34 points, Arsenal second with 25 points, Chelsea are third now with 25 points, Brighton 23, and Manchester City are fifth, surprisingly, with 23 points. And in the lower echelon, or the bottom, we have Southampton still at 20th. We have Ipswich Town 19, and then Wolverhampton Wanderers. So if the league ends now, like the COVID period, I mean, a lot. These three teams will be thinking of relegation. Let's move now to Bundesliga, and let's talk about Bundesliga for 5 minutes before we wrap up conversation here. Harry Kane will be out for some time because of internal injury, and then his impact was clearly seen in the Klassiker that they played between them and Borussia Dortmund, that particular one. But then Musiala salvaged a point there, of course, of that goal that he scored. And if you look at what is happening in the Bundesliga, they are constantly seated top with 30 points. But then the likes of Eintracht Frankfurt, firing from Austin, Bayern Leverkusen, defending champion, RB Leipzig, and even Dortmund themselves are not. They are still in the title chase, which means that 12 games so far played. You look at the point margin, but the one thing that you can tell is that Bayern are in for something very serious this season. Do you think Kane can be the one that will bottle them up because of his injury? They struggled in that game yesterday because the marksman wasn't there at all.
Yes, of course. The absence of the Englishman, talking about Harry Kane, will certainly affect Bayern Munich. But I think they still have the Arsenal within their house as well to also prosecute some of these games that is coming. You mentioned Jamal Musiala, very talented player any day, anytime. I love him whenever he plays. He doesn't take chances at all. When he has those opportunities, slot them inside the back of the net. But Harry Kane is a centre forward, a proven striker. He
scored 14 goals so far this season.
Exactly, he has broken so many records, you know, so in terms of goal scoring. So for me, I think he will certainly affect Bayern Munich season so far. We just pray that he comes back very early, because if he doesn't, he will certainly affect them.
While others are, preparing for rehabilitating their injury and hoping to come back, our own Victor Boniface was caught in the wrong side of the wheels, driving above traffic in violating traffic rules, and this is not the first time. We saw that he survived a scare, very ghastly accident a few months ago, and then the same man just violated traffic rule. We saw him with one of the top Nigerian musicians over the weekend, enjoying themselves. But then, it looks like being in the news for the wrong reason and not being remorseful for me, it should be a call for some concern.
Yeah, it should be a form of concern. I think he should have learned a lesson after surviving that ghastly motor accident. I think by now, he should have been able to learn a lesson from that. You don't need to be driving dangerously, driving above the limit. That is a very big offense in the other climb out there. But right here, you can drive whatever you wish to, maybe how many kilometers or speedometer, and nobody cares. But then, I tell you, the man should be very careful. You don't need to be hogging the headline, for the wrong reason. And I tell you, for Victor Boniface, you can't doubt his quality on the pitch of play. But behind, the scene of the pitch, what do you do? And as a celebrity, one who is known as a footballer, you should be more professional in the way and manner you do certain things out. And that is why I think for me, I'm a little bit disappointed when I heard of that news, because hearing that you just survived a ghastly motor accident a few months ago should have dawned on you that, man, I need to take it very easy, because life has no duplicate.
Of course, and that takes us now to the sports extraordinaire. This evening it goes to no other but Ernest Lott, having been very consistent in the last 1 month, and I hope that he can even continue. And these are good days for him. He smiles and with his jaws all out. And I just hope he continue to enjoy this the English Premier League.
You need to enjoy it while the euphoria lasts, because certainly a trying time will come, like I will keep saying. You must learn to start chewing bitter leaf right now while, waiting for other things to come.
Many thanks to you, Mike, for being part of the conversation. Many thanks for also giving us those beautiful analysis on the show.
Always a pleasure doing this with you.
My name is Ekpo Temple. We'll be back again tomorrow evening for more interesting news. Until then, stay locked on Atlantic Television Network. Bye-bye.